Good morning, children. This is KD Watts here. How are you doing? Definitely would be fine. Dear students, today I'm going to begin with Chapter 1, The Fun They Had. Dear students, here we have to see that who are having fun and what kind of fun is being talked about here. Dear students, you will find this chapter very interesting in the sense that it has been set in future. And why it has been set in future? How it has been set in future? So here in the story you will find that it will take us to the world of future where computers are going to play a big role in our lives. A major role they're going to play. Now here we have to see, we need to take a feedback from the children too at the same time, that what kind of difference they're able to see in a face-to-face interaction and to have e-learning processes. Or we can call it a virtual reality, a virtual classroom. Many of you might be well aware about a virtual reality or a virtual classroom. But to tell you that what virtual reality is all about, dear student, it refers to a reality created by computer software. Okay, that is virtual reality. A reality which has been created by a computer software. And what is a virtual classroom? Dear children, it's not a real classroom. It's not a physical room. It's not a room in a building, but one where learning is through computer software or the internet. This virtual classroom is a place where learning is through computer software or the internet. Very soon you will come to know that education can be imparted through robots, and in many places it might have taken place. But I still believe, definitely you will agree to me, that there is no alternative to face-to-face interactions. There is no alternative to a teacher. But dear students, certain situations occur in life which force us to find alternatives in life. And that's what has happened right now. In such kind of situation, we all are forced to be inside our homes. We have to find options to keep ourselves academically updated. And in these circumstances, such kind of virtual classrooms, such kind of softwares, the learning through computers has become very important, dear students. And we can even imagine that in the years to come, as this entire story is being set in future, so in the years to come it can happen that all these physical classrooms, these structures, these buildings, you may not find them. Children may be inside their homes. They might be taking some e-learning classes over there. They may not be able to visit places. They may be having some virtual friends too. And we will see the situation in this story here. As a pre-reading activity, it has been mentioned that it has been set in future where books and schools, as we now know them, will perhaps not exist. And according to the story, what he is saying, as the story has been set in future, if we think about the next century, then we have to imagine that how education would be at the time. And even in this 21st century, we have seen that so many e-learning classrooms have been there. So many e-learning academies have cropped up. So what is this? We are finding certain alternatives to the books and schools. But to be very honest, to tell you the truth, it is very difficult to find such alternatives. The physical presence of a teacher is definitely required. But at the same time, I do agree to this point that we should be ready with certain alternatives, with certain options in our hand, which we can use in such kind of situations where this physical interaction cannot take place. The face-to-face interaction cannot take place. Okay? So dear students, we have to see that how children are going to learn in these kind of classes. There has been a diagram which has been given over here, schools of the future. Schools of the future. After reading or listening to the video of this chapter, dear students, I request all of you to write down a debate, because now you have the experience of both the kinds of classrooms. A classroom where a teacher is being there, a physical teacher is being there, you are learning lessons from the teacher. At the same time, now you have ample amount of experience of having e-learning, okay, electronic learning. So which one is better? It's a debatable issue. So may I request all of you to please write down a debate on the topic virtual classrooms or real classrooms. Okay, so you need to go in favor of one of them, or you can jot down your points in both ways. Whatever way that you like to do, you can write that down. Moving ahead, dear students, I was telling you that here a caption has been mentioned over here, schools of the future, and the indications have been mentioned. First arrow takes you to learning through computers. So in future, hopefully, books may not be there. And there's one more reason why books would not be there. Because we are cutting trees at a rapid pace. And as far as my learning is being there, I have seen that the paper is being made with the help of trees. Lakhs of trees are being cut to make these notebooks, books. So this can be an alternative that we can learn through computers. But at the same time, if we start learning through computers, it increases the e-waste. Then what we have to do? Shall we have to find out some more options for that? That you need to think about. Second, a virtual classroom has been shown. That hopefully the next generations would be having their virtual classrooms. Let us see when this reality would be there. Next is a moving e-text. It has been shown over here, the moving e-text, electronic text, which will be there on the computer screen. And then you can have some robotic teachers who might be teaching you. Okay? This robotic teacher might be teaching you, guiding you, instructing you. So here we have to see that what is better, how this e-learning has to be there in future, how the schools have to be there, that we will discuss in the story. One more activity has been given over here that you can discuss. 3 things that you like best about your school and 3 things about your school that you would like to change. Once again, it's my humble request to all of you that all of you might be studying in our schools in the last 8 to 10 years. So dear students, you might be having a better idea that what is your school all about. So you can write down 3 things which he has mentioned over here. I'm not just pinpointing 3, I can mention you that you can write 5 things what you like about your school and at least 5 things about your school which you don't like, which you like to change. Okay? So again, I'm requesting you to write that down. Next question which he is asking you. Have you ever read words on a television or computer screen? Definitely. We are living in an age where computers, televisions, mobiles, iPads, so they have become a part of our life, integral part of our life. So, but still, there would be a number of people, big population would be there, who may not be able to use these computer screens as a medium of learning. Maybe because of poverty, maybe because of other reasons. Can you imagine a time when all books will be on computers? Now he's just asking us, can we imagine when all books will be on computers? The books would not be there. The schools would be books free, teacher free, okay? And there will be no books printed on paper. Would you like such books better? That we have to see whether we would be able to love those books or not. And if we were to be able to love that, then what are the consequences of using those e-books, e-learning, okay? That we have to see. To answer these questions, this story has been written down. And you will find that mainly two characters have been here. One is Margie and Tommy. They both are being here. Margie even wrote about it that night in a diary. And she was in the habit of writing diaries. Okay, a diary entry she was making. And on the page headed 17th May 2157. Imagine this thing. Underline that. 17th May 2157 is being talked about. We're talking about the 22nd century. She wrote, "Today Tommy found a real book." And she wrote in a diary that Tommy found a real book. So, dear students, definitely we can imagine that in the coming centuries, we definitely would be having virtual classrooms. And when any one of the child of the time will be able to locate or find these real books on the shelves of their homes, then definitely it would be magical ones for them. Okay? So it was a very old book, and the book which Tommy found was quite old. Margie's grandfather once said that when he was a little boy, his grandfather told him that there was a time when all stories were printed on paper. And Tommy's grandfather might have told him one day that when they were children, when they were at school, when they were studying, they were not studying on a computer screen. They were not having a virtual classroom. But he told Tommy that all the stories were printed on paper. Okay? They turned the pages, which were yellow and crinkly. Okay? The pages were yellow. You might have seen some old books. You might be having at your homes too. They become yellowish in color because of the impact of time. And crinkly means with many folds or lines. They become weak, very weak. The pages become crinkly. They can break down easily. And it was awfully funny to read words that stood still instead of moving the way they were supposed to on a screen. And it was amazing for them. It was amazing for those students of 2157 that the words were standing still. Okay, they were not moving like the way they were supposed to on a screen, you know. And then when they turned back to the page before, it had the same words on it that it had when they read it the first time. And when he turned the next page, okay, back to the page before, it had the same words. He was able to locate the same words on it that it had when they read it the first time. Two heads have been used here. Dear children, you need to know that why two heads have been used over here. One had is a helping verb, is an auxiliary verb which you use in past perfect tense. The second head is the third form of have as a verb. Okay, that's why two heads has been used here. You have to be very careful about that. This is a grammatical pattern. So, same words on it that it had when they read it the first time. Okay, said Tommy. What a waste. See what he is saying. He's saying those books are waste, he said. What a waste it has been. Because in 2157, they may not be having those books and they might be studying with the help of computers only. And he is calling that a waste. When you are through with the book, you just throw it away. And he said, where's the use of such books? Because when you are through with the book, you just throw it away. There's no use of that. I guess her television screen must have had millions of books. And he said, in comparison to that, my television screen, my computer screen might be having millions of books, okay, on it, and it's good for plenty more. And still more can be put over there. I would not throw it away. And as far as the comparison is concerned, he said, I would not throw it away because it's a big collection. Okay, my computer screen, my computer memory might be having a big collection of books. So, I cannot throw that. Same with mine, said Margie. And a discussion is taking place between Margie and Tommy. They both are discussing about that how a television screen, how a virtual classroom, how a computer classroom can be beneficial. Because computer has a memory which can store thousands of books, millions of books in them. And on the other hand, the books, the physical books which we can see, the papers which we can see, they're completely a waste according to them. So she was 11, underline that. It's very important. What was the age of Margie? She was 11, okay? You need to understand that she was 11 years of age and he was 13. It's very important. So she was 11. Who was 11, dear children? Margie was 11 and had not seen as many telebooks as Tommy had. She may not have seen as many telebooks as Tommy had, and he was 13. There was a gap of 2 years between them. She said, "Where did you find it?" And Tommy answered, "Obviously in my house." He pointed without looking, and he pointed towards the place without looking because he was busy reading. "In the attic." And he said, "I found that in the attic." And what is an attic then? Once again, a problem comes. What is an attic? In the glossary, it is mentioned a space just below the roof. Sometimes you might have seen that below your roofs, you make a second roof to put some things over there, a place over there, used as a storeroom, and that is being used as a storeroom. Definitely, you people might be having in your houses, okay? So those books were being kept in those attics, and he had been able to find that from there. And she asked, "What's it about?" And he said, "School." Margie was scornful, okay? She was scornful, she was contemptuous, okay? Showing some kind of feeling that she was not happy at all, okay? She was hating that. "School? What's there to write about school? I hate school." And she said, "What's there to write about school? What they can write about that?" Because the students, the children of 2157, they definitely would not be knowing what schools were once upon a time. As we do not know that how gurukuls were there once upon a time. We simply imagine the things. We don't have any idea how students were going. Only the serials show us that how students would be studying over there. And when we took birth, we were able to go to some good institutions, good buildings were being there, 5-star institutions were being there. So, and in 2157, the children may not be able to see them. Okay, that's why she said, "I hate school." Margie always hated school. And Margie always hated school. But now she hated it more than ever. And she had started hating it even than before. The mechanical teacher had been giving a test after test in geography. The reason? Because there is reason for everything. And Margie too had a reason for the hatred. And what was the reason? The mechanical teacher, according to her, had been giving a test after test in geography, and she had been doing worse and worse until mother had shaken her head sorrowfully and sent for the county inspector. The reason, dear students, you need to underline that. The mechanical teacher had been giving her test after test in geography, and she had been doing worse and worse. Okay, worse and worse. She was performing very poor, and until her mother had shaken her head sorrowfully, and her mother was very sad. She was shaking her head in sorrow and sent for the county inspector. The education inspector was being called to see the situation, that why my daughter is not performing well in this geography part. What is the problem? Like we have the education officials these days, teachers are being there, the principals are being there, the headmasters are being there, and we have some officials about them too. The directors are being there, director of education is being there, education officers are being there. So what is their duty? To keep a check, to monitor the things, to supervise the things, that how students are learning, how well they are behaving, whether they are learning in the right manner or not. So in the same fashion, the county inspector was there. Dear students, county here is just like a small area, small village you can call that. Okay, counties are in European nations, and we have inspectors of that county, like we have inspectors of the district over here. Okay, so in the same fashion, they might be having county inspectors over there. And how was this man? It's quite funny as the way he has been described here. He was a round little man. How can a man be round? Can a man be circular? But as far as the round here is concerned, dear students, he definitely would be fat. Okay, his circumference of the waist would definitely be a bit high. That's why it has been mentioned that he was a bit round, little man with a red face and a whole box of tools with dials and wires. And dear students, you can just make a comparison that today the education officers, when they come, they don't have the box of tools and dials and wires. Okay, they don't carry that. They simply come in the vehicles, they monitor the situation, monitor the classes, okay, how the teachers are teaching. They never come with all these dials and wires. They have some different materials with themselves, but those county inspectors, what they were having? Whole box of tools with dials and wires, because it was the age of e-learning, and they were supposed to check the computers, what was the problem over there. That's why they were carrying all these things. He smiled at Margie and gave her an apple, then took the teacher apart. And he smiled. Who smiled? The county inspector. Gave an apple to Margie and then took the teacher apart. Margie had hoped he would not know how to put it together again. Dear students, have you ever imagined? When you're expecting a teacher to come to your classroom, definitely you would be a bit nervous. Teacher is coming. He would definitely be asking certain questions to us. Okay, today he's going to take test with us, and we have to submit the notebooks today. So certain apprehensions are always there. In the same fashion, the apprehension was also there. Students are always students. Okay, what she was thinking? She was thinking, if the teacher may not come. She was thinking that suppose this county inspector may not know how to put it together again. Okay? How to put it together again. But he knew how all right. But the way she was thinking is not possible, because he was an inspector. Definitely he would be having that basic knowledge, and he knew how all right, and after an hour or so that it was again. And he was able to man it properly, and after an hour or so again it was being corrected. Large and black and ugly, with a big screen on which all the lessons were shown and the questions were asked. And again the screen was ready, large and black and ugly, with a big screen on which all the lessons were shown and the questions were asked. The screen was ready. So Margie, what she was thinking could not be true. The inspector was able to mend that, was able to correct that. Okay, he was a man of great potential, and that's what he did. That wasn't so bad, the part Margie hated. And that was not so bad. The part Margie hated most was the slot where she had to put homework and test papers. As I told you, dear students, students are always students. Maybe they are the students of 2157, maybe they are the students of 2020. Okay? Because whenever the slot was being there where you are supposed to put the homework, it is the most hateful one. Okay? You might be remembering your ways too, when the teacher asks you to submit your homework. Many of the students, they feel very bad. Sir, homework, I'm not finished that. So many excuses come forward. Sometimes those excuses are very honest. Sometimes some fake excuses are made. But students, they're learning the nuances of life, that how we have to live with that. Okay? She always had to write them out in a punch code. And how she was supposed to do? She always had to write them out in a punch code. They made her learn. Here in 2020, you have to submit your notebooks. And in that era, in the years to come, Margie was supposed to submit the homework through a punch code. They made her learn when she was 6 years old, and the mechanical teacher calculated the marks in no time. And the result was instant. These days, it takes time in giving the results. And when everything would be computer savvy, everything would be on the internet, then it will take no time at all in checking. Okay? In invigilation process, also it would be quite easy because teachers would not be there. Then how the invigilation would be done? Have you ever imagined about that? The inspector had smiled after he was finished and patted Margie's head. And the inspector had smiled after he was able to finish and patted Margie's head. And his head was patted. He said to her mother, "It's not the little girl's fault." And the inspector told Margie's mother, and what he said, "The gentle lady, the problem was not with this girl, Mrs. Johns." Mrs. Johns is Margie's mother. "I think the geography sector was geared a little too quick," he said. The reason he said that the sector was geared a bit quick. It was a bit quick. Those things happen sometimes, he said. And those things happen sometimes, he said. I have slowed it up to an average 10-year level. And he said further that I have slowed it up. He said that I have slowed it up to an average 10-year level, and actually the overall pattern of her progress is quite satisfactory. And the inspector said, you don't worry about about your daughter, Mrs. Jones, because your daughter is performing well. Her progress is quite satisfactory. And he patted Margie's head again. And once again, Margie's head was patted. And what happened to Margie? Was she happy? Was she happy? Let us see that. She was not happy at all, I think. Okay? What is happening? Margie was disappointed. She was disappointed. She had been hoping that would take the teacher away altogether. What she was thinking? She was thinking that her teacher would be taken away. Her teacher would be taken away. Who was the teacher? The computer. As if they had once taken Tommy's teacher away for nearly a month. And she was hoping that this time too, this will happen. Like the Tommy's teacher, my teacher would be taken away for nearly a month because the history sector had blanked out completely. So she was hoping for that. But that did not realize. Okay? So she said to Tommy, why would anyone write about school? And she said, school is such a hateful place, Tommy. Why anyone would be able to write about that? Tommy looked at her with very superior eyes. He looked at her with superior eyes because he was elder than her. And he said, because it is not in our kind of school, stupid. And he said, oh, stupid, it's not our kind of school I'm talking about. This is an old kind of school that they had hundreds and hundreds of years ago. And he said, Margie, you should know, I'm talking about a school which were there hundreds and hundreds of years back. It's not our kind of school I'm talking about, stupid. He added loftily, okay, in a superior way, pronouncing the word carefully. Centuries ago, my dear, centuries ago I'm talking about, okay, as if he had more knowledge than Margie. Margie was badly hurt. She felt very sad. I've been called stupid. I even don't know what a school is all about. Well, I don't know what this kind of school they had all that time ago. And she said, I don't know. I least bother about what kind of school they might be having at the time. She read the book over his shoulder for a while, then said, and she read the book over his shoulder for a while and then said, anyway, they had a teacher. And she said, anyway, they had a teacher. So here, a real classroom has been shown, dear students. A real classroom. Students are sitting, teacher is teaching, okay, and Margie was able to know for the very first time that they had a teacher who was teaching them. A man, a woman, okay. Sure, they had a teacher, but it was not a regular teacher, it was a man. And she said, sure, they had a teacher, but it not was a regular teacher, it was a man. And she said, it was not a regular teacher, a man. Man? How could a man be a teacher? Margie asked. How a man can be a teacher? Can it be possible? Can a man have so much of knowledge that he can impart that? Because she has never seen a man or a woman as a teacher in her life. That's why she's asking, a man? How can a man be a teacher? She was not able to believe that. Well, he just told the boys and girls things and gave them homework and asked them questions. And Tommy was making her very clear that, my dear, the teacher used to tell the boys and girls so many things and gave them homework and asked them questions too. A man is not smart enough. Margie is not agreeing to that. She said, a man is not smart enough. How can I believe that? How a man can be so smart? Can a man's smartness can be compared to a computer smartness? Tommy argued and said, sure he is, he can be. My father knows as much as my teacher. And he said, to put his point forward, he said, my father knows a lot and as much as my teacher, he said. He knows almost as much, I bet. And he said, bet is formal. I bet you in fast speech, I'm sure. Okay? It's bet, I bet. Margie was not prepared to dispute that. Margie could not dispute that because she was 11, Tom was 13. Definitely she thought that Tom would be having some more knowledge than her. He said, I won't want a strange man in my house to teach me. Oh, Tom, what the hell are you talking? I can't have a strange man, absolutely strange man in my house to teach me. How can it be possible? What about the security? What about the safety? She was seriously concerned that how a strange man come to my house to teach me. And what happened next? Tommy screamed with laughter. He laughed a lot. He screamed with laughter and he said, you don't know much, Margie. You're too small, Margie. You don't know anything. The teachers didn't live in the house, my dear. The teachers didn't live in the house. They had a special building and all the kids went there. And Tommy told Margie that in those days, hundreds and hundreds of years back, they were having a special building and all the kids, all the children were supposed to go over there. Okay? The teachers are not coming at home. She's again inquiring. And all the kids learned the same thing? And all the kids were learning the same thing? One teacher was there who was teaching them? Sure. If they were the same age, definitely. The children were of same age and they were learning the same things. She again argued. But my mother says a teacher has to be adjusted to fit the mind of each boy and girl it teaches. And very valid point she raised. Okay? She raised a point, a very important point, dear students, what she said. Like my mother says, a teacher has to be adjusted to fit the mind of each boy and girl. How it can be possible that a teacher is able to adjust himself to the potential of each boy and girl? And that each kid has to be taught differently. And what I believe is that every kid is different. Every child is different. He has to be taught differently. His requirements are different. What do you say, children? Whether Margie is right or not? I do agree to her. No doubt, she was a wonderful girl. She was applying her mind. She was arguing brilliantly that yes, a teacher has to cater to the needs of every student, each and every student. And maybe the children are the same age, but their learning capacities cannot be same. Okay? There can be a difference in that. Then how a teacher has to cater to the need of a brilliant child of the classroom or an average child of the classroom or a child who is standing at the lower level as far as academics is concerned. So here the teachers become very important. That how he has to handle the situation. How he has to cater to the needs of everyone. Sometimes he may be successful. Sometimes he may not be. Just the same, they didn't do it that way then. If you don't like it, you don't have to read the book. And Tommy became angry. Just the same, they didn't do it that way then. In just the same way, Margie, they didn't do it that way then. And if you don't like it, you don't have to read the book. And mind my words, if you don't like a book, please don't read that. I didn't say I didn't like it, Margie said quickly. She said, oh, Tom, I'm not saying so. I'm not saying that I didn't like that. She wanted to read about those funny schools. She also wanted to learn about those funny schools. She is calling those schools funny. It means the schools which we are going to are funny according to them. Okay? They were not even half finished when Margie's mother called. Margie's school. And they had not even half finished when Margie's mother called. Margie, school. Margie looked up. Not yet, Mama. Now, said Mrs. Johns, and it's only time for Tommy too. And Mrs. Johns said, no, it's time for Tommy too. Okay, it's your school timing. Margie said to Tommy, can I read the book some more with you after school? And she asked. See the innocence of this child, small child. She's asking Tom. Tom, can I read the book some more with you after school? Maybe, he said nonchalantly. Okay? Nonchalant means not showing much interest. He was not interested so much in that. He said casually, okay, yes. He walked away, whistling the dusty old book tucked beneath his arm. And he went away, whistling, keeping the dusty old book tucked beneath his arm. Now Margie went into the schoolroom. They had a school in their homes only, dear children. They're not supposed to travel long distances. Okay? It was right next to her bedroom. And where was the school? It was right next to her bedroom. And the mechanical teacher was on and waiting for her. And the mechanical teacher was waiting for her. As these days during the online classes, the teacher might be waiting for you, dear students. Okay? So it was always on at the same time every day except Saturday and Sunday. And it was always on except Saturday and Sunday. So they had 5 days week. Okay? So here Marge is learning from the mechanical teacher. This is her schoolroom which has been shown here. A robot has been shown, an image has been there, the discs are being lying over there. So this is how a virtual classroom functions. Because her mother said little girls learn better if they learn at regular hours. Because her mother is of the opinion that little girls learn better if they learn at regular hours. I do agree to Mrs. Jones here that yes, when we have regularity, when we have punctuality in reading hours and studying hours, then definitely we learn more. Maybe 1 hour, 2 hour, whatever the case may be, but we have to be regular. Because regularity can bring change in ourselves. Okay, we can learn better in that situation. Here, dear students, the screen was lit up and it said, when Margie took her seat, the screen lit up and it said, today's arithmetic lesson is on the addition of proper fractions. And the robotic teacher started. The voice started from the screen. It said, today we are going to begin with addition of proper fractions. Please insert yesterday's homework in the proper slot. And the instructions were passed to Margie. Please insert your yesterday's homework in the proper slot. See how the things are being done. Margie did so with a sigh. And she did so with a sigh, deep breath. She was thinking about the old schools they had when her grandfather's grandfather was a little boy. She was pondering about those schools, old schools of her grandfather's times, when he might be a little boy. What kind of schools there were? She was very happy thinking that all the kids from the whole neighborhood came, laughing and shouting in the schoolyard, sitting together in the schoolroom. One advantage she is counting. What she is saying? She is saying that what were the schools? They were the best schools because children from the neighborhood, they might be going together to the schools, laughing, enjoying, shouting in the schoolyard, sitting together in the schoolroom, going home together at the end of the day. And these things you cannot enjoy in a virtual classroom. So one valid point you have got for a debate, dear students, that yes, schools of the previous era were better because children can go together. There can be a kind of socialization. They can laugh, they can shout, they can enjoy, they can study, they can play together, and they would be rid of the loneliness which a virtual classroom would provide you. Okay? So they learned the same things so they could help one another with the homework and talk about it. And second thing which she is saying, they could discuss. The discussion can take place. They can do the homework too by discussion. And I believe the discussion can teach you a lot. And the teachers were people. She was very happy to think about teachers were people. They were men, they were women. Okay? The mechanical teacher was flashing on the screen. They were people. They were having emotions. They were not like the mechanical teacher flashing on the screen when we had fractions 1 by 2 and 1 by 4, and that's how. He was just telling that. Do these mechanical teachers have emotions, dear students? I don't think so. They are simple machines. But when human beings are there to teach you, to guide you, to instruct you, to facilitate things for you, then definitely this interaction is going to be very healthy. They are able to guide you from their own experiences. They can share that. They're definitely having kind of sympathy, kind of empathy for the children, which mechanical teachers may not be having. But hopefully there will be no options by the time of 2157, as the story talks about, because right now the situation is grim as far as this pandemic is concerned, which has kept us indoors, and we are completely dependent on e-learning. But prayers to the Almighty to get rid all of us from the situation, and we can again interact, we can again be socialized with each other, we can again live happily. So in the end, Margie was thinking about how the kids must have loved it in the old days, and Margie was very excited. She was thinking about how the kids must be very happy, loving it in the old days, because they all were together. She was thinking about the fun they had, and she was thinking about the fun they had. So this was the fun I was talking about in the beginning of the text. She was talking about this fun they had. There is fun in living together. There is fun in staying together. There is fun in studying together. Okay? But at the same time, we have to be careful too. Okay? So it has been a wonderful story which has been told here by Isaac Asimov. And the reason behind writing the story might be that he wanted to give a clear-cut message that how education would be in the years to come, in the ages to come. We have to be ready for that. We have to be ready with the alternatives. And as a result of which, so many things are cropping up. Learning through electronic resources are increasing, and they would increase in the years to come. So we have to be ready for that, dear students. And that's how I've been able to finish this entire chapter. I hope you all of you might have listened to my video very carefully. If you have any queries, any problems, you can share with me by just sending your comments on my comment section so that we can just sort them out. After listening to the video, hopefully you will be able to sort out all the queries, all the questions related to this text. Till then, have a nice time. Good day.